The 2024 Polyglot Gathering is brought to you by Glossica.
Okay, so I think it's time to start. Hello, everybody.
Everything's okay. All right, so welcome, sit down, and feel free to relax. This is going to be a very casual presentation. The only thing is, if you have any questions, leave them, use Slido, leave them to the very end of the talk. And could you please, I think, write in English if possible so that everybody can, those who don't read Chinese can understand. Okay, one thing is I will not be using any Mandarin if possible, so I will do something like this. Write it out in English and traditional Chinese characters up here, and say it out in Penang Hokkien, and then you try to figure out what I'm talking about. If you don't know, then just ask at the end with Slido. All right, so now, starting, welcome to Penang. So this is Penang Hokkien Wa. Penang Hokkien Wa. And I'll tell you why, where it comes from, why we pronounce things the way we do, and how are we related to other Chinese dialects, the connection, and the history of Penang a little bit. So this is Ket Lok Si. This is a temple. Well, I don't live here, but it's about 20 minutes away from here. Well, I wish I did. Yes, so, all right. Where is the language spoken? So if you can see, of course, this is China, my little, because it looks a bit small. So this is Malaysia, East Malaysia and West Malaysia. Now we're going up all the way to this little island here. Well, actually it's not very clear. That's Penang, and so the language we call Penang Hokkien is actually spoken on this island. Well, there's a little island here, a big chunk of the mainland, a big chunk of Indonesia on this side. Yeah, that's all the same dialect. But there they call it Medan Hokkien, but it's actually the same language, pretty much. And then there's another dialect that's spoken further down here. So from where the capital city is, most speakers there are actually Cantonese speakers. But there's also quite a big minority of Minnan speakers of the same dialect, and they extend all the way down to Singapore. That's another version. And there's another one over here on this side, which is a mix of my dialect and Malay and Thai. So it's a very interesting language. I cannot understand any of it. It's probably a mixed language. And then there's another Hokkien, another dialect spoken around here. So around Kuching, which is closer, ironically, closer to my dialect than it is to the Singaporean one. We'll talk about that later on, okay? So that's roughly where it's spoken. So Penang, as I said before, neighbouring parts of Northern Sumatra, Malaysia, North Sumatra, including the city of Medan. It's actually the lingua franca in North Sumatra among the Chinese community when they're not speaking Bahasa Indonesia. All right, so, and then of course I talked about the other varieties already. There are at least 3 or 4 varieties spoken in Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore. So that's quite a lot. There's a lot of variation. So what I will do is, I will say some sentences and you try to tell me what you think it sounds like. Hands up, anybody who speaks Taiwanese. Okay, anybody who speaks from Ameng, Xiamen, or who speaks any other variation, and of course I know one guy speaks Chaoshan, Diaspora. All right, so let's go here. So basically what happens is this. So Malaysia has been settled by Chinese immigrants for the past, I think, almost 1,000 years. They came in multiple waves. But the biggest groups, I think, came in, I think, the late 19th century and the earlier 20th century when there was all this turmoil in China and all that. A lot of it came from the 3 southern provinces. So this is great, we'll see later on. So the 3 southern provinces are, I'll say it in Hokkien, so Hokkien, Keng Tang or Kui Tang, and Hai Lam. Okay, so you see the cognates in Mandarin. All right, so Southern Min dialects are the most common. So, well, they're in Chinese, Zhangzhou, Zhuanzhou, and of course you have, this is Chaozhou, so Teochew, Swa Tao, Hai Lam. Okay, and of course you got the Hakka and the Yue dialects. Hakka, we call them Ke Lang, which I think you do in Taiwan as well. There are smaller communities of people who speak other dialects from the Min groups, so the Southern Min, there's a Northern and Eastern and Northern, Central, and I think Eastern Min groups, which is not intelligible. Putian dialect is very different. I cannot understand it. It's completely, alien to me. Although it's apparently a very close relative, so yes. And I'll explain why this is the situation. So now let's do practice some Penang Hokkien. This is Penang Hokkien, so it's going to be a bit different from the Taiwanese version. Be careful for the vowels that get switched around and some changes. So we say, have you eaten yet? Which is very common across China, right? So, lu jia ba bui. You want to say it with me? Lu jia ba bui. This is for one person. You talk about, have you eaten yet? Okay? And if you have eaten already, you can say it in two ways. You can say, 吃饱了, or 吃饱, like in Taiwan. Or if you haven't, 阿boy, or boy, the same, right? Notice that the tones don't actually match what I'm saying because, again, Minnan dialects have a very complicated tone system that shifts and changes. We're going to go through a little bit of this. So it took me ages to explain this to a Cantonese friend, and to this 20 years later, she still cannot figure it out. So the tones, every syllable, every word has two tones. Basically, you have one tone that when it occurs by itself, like a dictionary form. What the Japanese call jishoke, so it stays one, that same tone. That's what you find in when you learn the word. Then when you combine it in a phrase or sentence, it changes except for the very last word that stays the same. So the bui will stay the same. Jia ba liao. So the jia ba. So the jia will change in the tone. So jia becomes jia ba. That kind of thing. So that happens. And so there's a system. The one that's from Xiamen and I think Taiwan, it looks like a circle, so just one changes to another, hops around. The Penang one is slightly modified, so it doesn't look like a circle anymore, but still, it's more or less there. Okay, so any questions? Leave them to the end of the talk, please. Thank you. Kamsia. All right. So where does this come from? This is a country called Tiongkok. So Tiongkok. So quite to be Hokkien, Kengtang or Kuitang as I pronounce it, Hailam, Taiwan. Xianggang. Some people say Xianggang, but we say Xianggang. And Aomui. Okay, these are the three. So those three southeastern provinces is where the majority of Chinese immigrants came from. Now, if we narrow down, because this area, I would say, is the Sardinia of China. So like in Sardinia, you cross to the next village on another hill, people speak a completely different dialect or different language altogether. This is what happens all the time. So in this part of this like little swath of China. So the Min dialect. So this, what we call Hokkien, which is I think is a misnomer because Hokkien, Fujian is actually quite a big linguistically diverse province. There are so many dialects. If you tell them I speak Hokkien, they'll say which one, right? So the ones in Malaysia are this blue area. I'm slightly colorblind, so I think that is blue. But if it's not, well, this where I'm pointing at. So Zhangzhou, Emui, I say Emui and Zhangzhou. Lengna has a slightly different, Lengna has a slightly different version that is closer to Zhangzhou, but anyway, we'll look at it. This is what we call Teochew, Swatao, all this area here, Swaboi, all this. This is another variety that probably migrated from roughly around here. It came to settled in here. And Hailam has their own dialects. So this is just one version. The other dialects spoken on the island is very, very diverse over there. Taiwan, of course, has many. All along the coast, it's Minnan, Balam speakers, Minnanhua, okay? And up here, Putian has his own version, unintelligible to the blue area. Green areas have their own groups, and red and all. These are all different groups, and all these dialects are not, these are dialect groups because every village within these areas have their own versions. Some of them more intelligible, others no. So it's very complicated. I think the further you go inland in the mountain areas here, all the way up here, that it gets very diverse. So the Hokkien that we speak on the coast is actually quite relatively uniform. All right, so now, what we call the modern Hokkien dialects, Hokkien, okay, this actually is the Southern Min dialects. They develop from two varieties. You have the Zhuanjiu and the Jiangjiu over here. So yeah, this area here. So they're slipping. Yeah, Zhangzhou and Zhuanjiu. So here we go. So the Penang actually developed more or less, because what happened is Penang and most parts of Malaysia were settled by migrants from different parts of Hokkien and all, and other areas. But they converge, and depending on which is the majority dialect, that just became the main influence. So Penang, we had more Jiangjiu Lang. I mean, that's the Ren character, but it's probably not that word, but we just use it like that. And Zhuanjiu, okay? So what happens is interesting. There's a very specific area within Zhangzhou which I think probably contributed the strongest influence. So there's areas around Leonghai, So the area, there's a Haiting, which is an area between what is modern Emui and Jiangjiu. So there's this area here. And the dialect is unique because they have the U sound, which is why we say Lu. So if I say I take chopsticks to eat fish, Taiwanese would say like li te di jia hi, right? I would say lu te du jia hu or lu gia du jia hu. And if you go to the south, it's more like the Zhuanqiu, which is in Singapore, is we are le ya zi jia he. So the vowels shift a lot, yeah, along the way, further back, further front, centralized, depending on which part of the coast you're from. That's basically how the dialect developed. Now, so the Penang developed from a variety of the Zhangzhou dialect from the ancient district of Haiting, now split between, of course, so it's Leonghai Ku, and Emui. Okay, that's how we say it. All right, so this is better. So the map over here, so this is basically a modern map, and I've been able to trace so far, and based on my own family history, we came from somewhere around, so you see, this is of course in Google Earth gives me in simplified Chinese. So this roughly, this area is stretching across Kak Bi, this is Kak Bi, Hai Cheng, this area, all the way into Henglim, Xinglin, Henglim. So this stretch, and the northern part of Xiamen city, that's basically the closest to Penang Hokkien. We use a lot of Malay and English loanwords. If you remove all that, it sounds very similar to how people speak here, even today, more or less. If you go down to the downtown, to the districts of Xiamen here, this area here, Emui, it's the basis of what we call standard Hokkien in China, which is very close to Taiwanese. So Emeng, the Emui dialect or accent, comes generally from this area, and it's quite a recent accent. It developed only in like mid to late 19th century from immigrants from other areas of Fujian who came together and created some sort of lingua franca, and that became the modern Emui or Xiamen dialect, which incidentally is probably the easiest for Taiwanese people to understand because they have their own variations as well. So that's about that. Let's see, what else? Yeah, so this is interesting because this area used to be called Guigang, the moon harbor, because apparently in ancient times this area looked like the crescent moon. Well, I personally have a hard time seeing it, but if you do, yeah. So the crescent moon harbor, which was apparently a major port before the development of Xiamen, of Emui. And I think when this port closed, a lot of people from the villages around lost their jobs and all. They had to flee, and they ended up going south to Malaysia, Indonesia, and all that. So part of the reason why. It was also part of a big smuggling network, so that's connected to trade in Southeast Asia. So there's a lot of contact for a very, very, very long time. All right, are we on time? Okay. Oh, okay, sorry, yeah. So, an example, so these are, I'll show you pictures of Penang, and you can come and visit, I'll bring you to these places. All right, so this is a very nice museum, and it used to be the clan house. Penang Hokkien doesn't have an orthography, so we might just use British English orthography and write, Hokkien words like this, ku gong si. So, ku gong si. So the word gong si, this word here is very interesting. In Penang, we have multiple meanings. We can use it to mean, like in modern Chinese, it's a company, a firm, or a corporation, gong si, gong si. But we can also use to mean a clan house, a clan organization. So people from the same parts of China would sometimes come together, pool their money together, build temples, build a place to stay. If you have nowhere to stay, look for people from your village with your same surname, and yes. So this was built by the Ku family. So the clan temple of the Ku family, we pronounce it Ku, and the elaborate house is in Cannon Street. It's in the middle of Georgetown, and it's still there today. Very typical Minnan-style architecture. And this family comes from, again, Haiting, a long time ago. Now it's split up into other districts. So this is the sort of the clue when I got tracing back where the dialect comes from. Their ancestral village is now in, this is Henglim district, which is now part of Emui. So I'm just saying out in how I say it, but you can sort of figure out the pronunciation. So and in fact, all the oldest families, in fact, come from roughly the same area. That's why the accent state, comes from here. So we have the Chia Gong Si. So, okay, so yeah, so Sik Tek Tong. Okay, so this is another feature of Hokkien that I forgot to mention. The word for a hall, which we pronounce as Tong or Teng, depending on whether it's formal, literary or colloquial. So we've got not every, but most characters have two pronunciations. You've got words that are used on everyday life, and words if you're using it in a phrase, like a person's name, a name of a place, some technical vocabulary, literary vocabulary, that kind of thing, it becomes the literary pronunciation. So you can pronounce this one as tong or teng. Yeah, so yeah. And this one can be xia or qia. So this is qia gongsi. So yeah, that depends. Okay, this one as a name, I don't know. I have some people who are named Mr. Mrs. Chia, Mr. Mrs. Xia. So it depends on the family, but the words will change depending on their uses in specific, very specific phrases and environment. This is a very typical feature of southeastern Chinese dialects. So the Chia family used to be, again comes from Haiteng County. So that's pretty much where it comes from. And then also this one, the Li Lim family. So again, this character, their name, I'm trying to point my cursor, yeah. So the Lim can be pronounced Lim or Na, depending on whether it's literary or colloquial. Mandarin doesn't do this that much, but in Hokkien dialects, it happens everywhere. So the Lim family again comes from Haiteng, and the name of their clan temple and the houses around it also belong to the clan is, of course, the whole of 9 dragons. So the normal word for 9 is Kao, but here we pronounce, because it's the name of a place, Q. And the word for dragon is Ling, but we pronounce it Liong because it's a formal word. So literally, Q, Liong, Tong, Tong. Okay, Tong, not Tung, because Tung is a colloquial for a hall, but this is a formal name of the Lim Gong Si. So you can see the tone changes. So the family name is Lim, but when it's part of the Lim clan house, it's Lim Gong Si. So the tone changes depending on whether it's in a phrase. Only the last word generally stays the same in the Minnan dialects. Okay, right. So Gong Si. So they're all from Haiteng. We have some time, so I will go very, very briefly into the phonology. You could probably see that the phonology of Minnan dialects have more complex phonology than Mandarin, so there are more things going on. We have some interesting features. There are no bilabial fricatives, so the MP, we don't have an F sound. And that's typical of Southeast Chinese, Southern Chinese, Southeastern Chinese dialects. We have, however, borrowed the F from English so far, or something like that, so we use a lot of words from English and Malay. This is very normal in Malaysia, Singapore. We even borrow the R sound, like ring or ringgit, which is the word for the Malay currency. We use that. Like even the Y initial, we don't really have it in native words. Like this word sayang itu sayang, aku rasa sayang, from Malay Indonesian. We use this a lot in place of to like. It means I like something. There are some changes in the phonology, but I think generally it looks a lot like typical Minnan dialects. What else? I think that's about it. Yeah, we don't really use the D much except for loanwords. But yeah, that's about it. Yeah. So this column here, which written is TS. This is in the IPA. In Penang, it depends. You can press it as a ts or a ch. It doesn't change anything. Most speakers are using they use more of a back pronunciation, the ch. So jia pui, or if you say jia pui, it doesn't really matter. I use both, back and forth. There's no sort of difference in the pronunciations. So the lines, the accent marks are all showing all the tones, which, as I said, will change or lack thereof, which will change depending on the position in a sentence, whether it's part of a phrase or not. I won't go into that too much, but yeah. So these are all well, in Chinese, you got the finals and all that, so the vowels and all. There are a lot of nasal vowels. So yeah. So okay, you don't see this here, but when it's written down in, I'll show you the Taiwanese orthography. A lot of words end in vowels. So the word for shirt, we say sa, or 1, 2, 3, jin no sa. There's a nasal sounds that you don't have in standard in Mandarin or even in Cantonese. You don't have the nasal vowels. We have unique sounds that, again, in Taiwan are quite rare. So the Taiwanese Hokkien, they have, like, when you say, I eat rice, what's ya peng? But we say, what's ya pui? And then there are people who say, what's ya peng? But, that's a change. So we have a lot of more diphthongs. That's Penang. I think what else is unique? We have some interesting stuff like this. So, nyo, nyo. So, this is the word for language. Wa, ui, what is it? Ui, sorry. And why. So a lot of diphthongs and triphthongs, even, yes. So that's it. And the tones. Now, okay, fine. So, so those who speak Taiwanese, I think will be very familiar. So, Southern Chinese, Southeastern Chinese dialects originally had like 8 tones. 8, not 4 like in Mandarin. But in the Minnan branch, most dialects reduced them to 7. So tone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 has merged mostly with number 2, so you don't see it. 7, 8. mostly. I think Chuanchu actually preserved the eight tones, I think, but I'm not sure. But normal Taiwanese and Mui and the Penang dialect, we reduce them to 7 generally. And we've taken them one step further. In fact, compared with Taiwanese, most Penang speakers have already merged this and this. So we only have 6 tones. 6 tones compared, only 6 compared to Mandarin, 6. Yes. So what happens is this. So this tone here, when it's I'm using what's called the Taiwan Lomaji, so the romanization used in Taiwan, because there is no standard system for Penang Hokkien. A friend of mine has developed something using numbers. So he writes something like ma, what does he do? Ma, and then he tried, and then ma. So he tried to map them out into Chinese more or less, and yeah, but it's still a bit messy, but it works for native speakers. But it looks a bit strange with the numbers everywhere. But yeah, so now this should be an A here, right? So what happens is this. So the first tone, if there's no markers, it's high and flat. So like ah. So the word for car, chia, say chia, chia is a car, and things like my leg, my foot, why car. So that's different, very different from Mandarin, car. This one, although it looks up, is now pronounced generally falling. So like, I'm thinking of a word with this. Tan, to wait, so it goes down. Tan, so yeah. In Penang, these two are pronounced the same. They're generally low tone. So like, for example, ban, which is slow. So ban. The only way you can tell which tone is which is by the tones. When they combine, the tones change, they behave in completely different ways. But the words are pronounced the same. So meaning that if you're learning Penang Hokkien, you have to know which words will change into what, because it will, yes. And there's no way, if you don't read Chinese, you don't know the etymology, you can't predict what they are. You have to just learn it. So that makes it more complicated. This one is what's called the stop tone or the entering tone. There are 2 of them. So basically it ends either in a glottal stop or a P or a T or a K. Yes, P, T, K, either or. And of this side there's only number 4, number 8. So there's either high or low. So the word to eat, jia. Okay? And this is like the word, jia. Oh, sorry, this is 8 tone, jia. The 4th one is lower, so it's like the word for meat, ba. So you hear the kind of, yeah, right? So these are easy. Once you learn one, if it's in a phrase, they just swap. So the 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 4. They just switch places. That's easy. And this one, although it's a circumflex, is a rising tone. So do you say like the word go, which is a goose, go, or we say hu, fish. It has this one. And this is the same as in Penang Hokkien. In Taiwanese, it's slightly different. One is slightly higher, the other has a slightly lower tone. But yeah, but not in Penang, we don't do this. Okay, so this is that. Now, are you okay? Looking okay? Yeah. If you're confused, just put everything on Slido. Now, let's see. Here we go. Now we go to now you get even more confused. Now the tone of a character. So what I just said just now, this is just written down. If you want to take a photo, you can, so you can process this, later on. Basically, the tone of a character, if it is followed by another character as part of a multisyllabic compound, will change. It will not be the same. It's not like in Mandarin, 我吃 and 饭 stay the same. In this case, the tones will change. And again, depending on, there's a pattern, there's a fixed pattern, what becomes what. Yeah. All right. So when a character is read in isolation as a monosyllabic word or as a final character in the monosyllabic, a multisyllabic compound, it is pronounced with its original tone, whatever that is. Now, within a multisyllabic compound, every character, every word will change. Every word will change, except for the one in the last bit. So the word for, do you know how to, so I already told you how to explain, how to pronounce this. So how do you say cow or bull? Gu, who said gu? Well, yes, gu, exactly. But gu only appears when it's by itself. When you combine, it changes into something else. So when it is in the word for beef, it's not gu ba, no, it's gu ba. It changes, so there's a pattern. So this pattern, the 5, will change into, I can't remember, is it 7 or 3, but yeah. So see, as native speakers, we don't think about it, just like, that sounds wrong, that sounds right. So gu ba, okay? And then, yeah. Meanwhile, the word for meat, which is we say ba, very different from Mandarin, ba. which I think might be a different character. Anyway, ba is in the final position. It is pronounced in the original pronunciation, ba, original tone. And then you could, no matter how long the word is, every word will change except the last one. So if you look at the character here, which is beef, beef rice noodle soup, which I just had a couple of weeks ago in Penang, is pronounced, well, it's not gu, it's gu ba kway tiao teng. So the only character that stays the same is the last word, the word for soup, teng, stays the same. Everything else will change in a very specific pattern, yeah? So gu ba kway tiao teng. But by itself, it's gu ba gui diao. Yeah, so gu ba gui diao teng. So it changes like that. And that's very common not only in Penang Hokkien, all the other dialects as well, the Minnan dialects. And I think even the up to Fuzhou. And in fact, this pattern is actually common quite all the coastal dialects up to Shanghai, I think, have this, up to Shanghai. And I think Ningbo, I don't know how to say Ningbo in Hokkien, off the top of my head. Anyway, but that area, they've got it, but in slightly different ways. So they behave in, the tones will change, but in different patterns. In Minnan, this is how it goes. All right, so this is what I was talking about. So it's, yeah, so the Taiwanese and Amui accents have it in a circle. Ours is slightly more, yeah, modified circle. Very, very quickly, level tone 1, which is flat, changes into, it changes into, let me study from, low form, falling. So the word for car is chia, all right, chia. And then you say, I don't know, a place to put your car, or, you know, chia. A place for the car, so chia ui, yeah. So a place, you know, so it becomes chia, it goes down. The second tone, which is the falling one, which is like a 5-3-ish. So like, for example, the word tan, to wait. The place to wait, waiting place, tan ui. So it changes into a lower, slightly 1, 2, 3, 4, slightly flat, sort of high. This departing tone, this one here, so this one, tone 3 and tone 3 is the same as tone 7. So we don't really use any difference. So, but they behave in different ways. So the 3 will become a sort of falling accent, and tone 7 becomes slight low. So yeah, it's a long, so something like this. And then of course the 2 stop tones will swap. It's basically like this. Tone number 5, which is falling, which is rising, becomes low and yeah, like this, low with a slight rise. That's all I'll say. Okay, I think that's enough for now for this part. So let's just see how it works. The word for chicken, I'm using all these words because they kind of fit together in a specific phrase. Ke, so you say it with ke. So in Taiwan, you can hear ke, kue, and different accents. Penang people will say ke. That's how we say it. Now, the word for horse is bear, not bear. So that accent comes direct from Zhangzhou, from Zhangzhou. Rabbit, tall. See, it goes down. Ba is meat, ba. And then ling, the rising tone, ling is a dragon. And then qiong is an elephant, qiong. So the 3 and 7 are more or less the same, qiong. Penang, we've developed another sound, which I can never figure out where it comes from. This nasal sound can be broken into into a triphthong, qiao, which I don't know where it comes from, qiao. People say qiao and qiong. It doesn't really mean, but you hear a lot of people say qiao. It becomes even more complicated. I'm thinking it's probably influenced from Thai or something, but yeah, anyway. And then, of course, you have the word deer, which is lok, ba, lok. And then when you combine them, so let's say we take the word kut, which means bone or skeleton, bone. So, I'm just going to go back, yeah. So if you want to say chicken bones, it's ke, but ke kut. You follow the pattern, ke kut. Yeah, just follow the... So ke becomes ke, and so on and so forth. So bear becomes bear kut, the bones of a horse. Tor becomes tor kut, the bones of a rabbit. Ba becomes bak kut, which is the bak kut is the spare ribs, which is you can generally bak kut refers to pork in Penang. And then ling, the bones of a dragon, ling kut. It changes like this. Chiong kut. This one doesn't change much. Lok kut. So that's, you combine each of the characters. That's how it. So only the last character stays the same. Right, it doesn't change much. Okay, so where are we? Okay, now these are the differences between sort of Emui, which is a standard accent, which is very close to standard Taiwanese. I think it's slightly different, but it's not that different. Zhangzhou, which is the sort of ancestral main dialect, and some examples. In Penang, the shibboleth that we use is, for example, the word gong wa, to speak, right? How we say 讲话, gong wa. If you go to the south, it's gong wei or se wei, depending, so, which I think is closer to the Zhuangjiu pronunciation. We will say, like, for example, what else? What's jia bui, jia beng, yeah, that kind of thing. Oh, the word for the word zhou in Mandarin, which in Taiwan everybody pronounces it differently. We have the same problem. So Penang people will say moi. So like fish porridge, we'll say hu moi. If you go to the south, it's Hebei or Hebe. Some people say be, some say be. I think the be is the Zhuangjiu city accent, actually. Then be is more like Xiamen, Taiwanese. So yeah, the whole thing. And some people say he also for fish. So it's very complicated. At first I thought it's because the dialect evolved differently in Malaysia in different parts. And then when I went to China, I realized, okay, wait, no, these were already present in China. They just brought all our baggage over to Malaysia, basically. Okay, so all the different, so you got the different tones. Our eighth, if you want to be really specific, I'm just going to one last bit and then we can open up for questions. One last bit here is that the eighth tone here, so in Penang, which is a low tone, in the actual Zhangzhou city dialect, theirs is more of a little rise. So we say ba, for meat, ba, with a low tone. They say ba. No, wait, no, sorry, no, jia, yeah, I'm confused. They say jia to eat, they say jia. So there's a rising and a gloss up, which we don't do. That, yeah, what's jia? Yeah, something like that. Of course, I told about all the vowel shifts, so Penang often has an a, they have an ue. We have a very open air sound, which you don't have in MUI, and I think most Taiwanese, like the word hair, we say prawn, we say hair. But Taiwanese people, most will say he, just like in MUI as well, MUI, and Zhangzhou also a he. Singaporeans, because their dialect is closer to Zhuangjiu, will also say he. That's how you can tell. So the he, hu, us is he, hu. You can see the vowels shifting all over the place. That's how it goes. And then this is, of course, like with the sound. So se is to be born or to give birth. Se, there are a few pronunciations for this one, literary, colloquial. The literary one, we say sing, so that becomes close. But then the colloquial is se, so yeah, again, they're not really predictable. And then, of course, in the emeng is like i, si, or si kiang, like to give birth to a baby. We say se kiang. Basically, that's it. What else? And yeah. So a lot more. I'm not gonna. Yeah. So we have our to think. We say xiong or xiao. We developed the yao, so I don't know where that came from. But most times we say what's xiong. The original Zhangzhou is xiong. So that's, yeah, we did something to the vowel, that poor vowel. Yao became a tripthon. Okay, sorry. And what else? Yeah, the rest is the same. A lot of pronunciation, like what we have eng, like the word for soldier, we say ping. In the south of Malaysia, it's more like piang, so it becomes like a glide or something with a schwa. Yeah, I think Taiwanese you have both ping, piang, ping, something. Yeah, it's a bit confusing. We use the I U. A lot of dialects also swap the I, like gin. Like do you say Taiwanese? Do you say the word for bank gin hang or gun hang? It depends. Penang, we tend to say gin hang for whatever reason, but some people say gun hang as well. So yeah, and the south is like gun hang or something. All right, yeah, and that's about it. Yeah, so these are just changes in vowels. We use the word tu, liang in Mandarin, no. We say no. In Taiwan, you would hear, I think, neng is more common, like in Xiamen, like in MUI. The U and I swap is very common. Fish, we say hu, and he or hu in Zhuangjiu. Fire, we say hui. And then you can say hui, and some people say he, some say he, kui he, or kui hui. So there's a lot of the vowels are very unstable in Minnan. They shift all over the place, pretty much. And yeah, I think that's it. And then of course the very famous sui sound. The word this sound sour sui, and then just like in Zhangjiu sui, and then other parts will say seng, right? Which incidentally sounds like our word for ice, seng, like sengkak. Do you say, like when something gets frosted, kek seng, ge shuang in Mandarin or something like that. I can't think of the word in Mandarin, but yes, the cognate is to to freeze. Okay, now we've got the colloquial and literary pronunciation. This is an example of what I was talking about. Words can be pronounced in multiple ways. So this one, which in Mandarin you don't use as much as we do in Minnan, this word appears everywhere. It can mean to touch something, to come in contact, to be afflicted by, to burn up, and to be correct, to be struck, tio or to, depending on the word. And then, of course, you have the Sandhi forms. So tio means correct. So we don't say tui pu tui, we say tio tio. See the high tone here, so tio. And then yes, and then you say, oh, I accidentally touched something, or I touched it. What bong tio, bong tio, to touch. And then when it means when the fire is burning or it ignites, hui to or her to, depending on the accent. But in Penang we say hui to liao. When you turn on your stove and it comes out hui to. And then if you're sick or afflicted by something bad, it's also to or tio rather. So tio pe. This is pe, tio pe, to fall sick. Tio kam to catch a flu, tio kam, and so on and so forth. And then of course you can pronounce it in multiple ways. To can also mean like precisely, exactly. So like wa to si e kia. I'm using wa to si e kia. So you see the characters, right? What to si is I exactly I am his son. Like you're insisting precisely his son. You can use this character as well, this word as well. What to si e kia. So the word for he or she is different from Mandarin, and the word for child we don't have this. This is our character, very unique to Southeastern Chinese dialects. I don't know where it comes from. So kia, things like that. Okay. And then you can also when it's combined, you can even combine and use one pronunciation with the other together. So like to meet to mai gong wa. These guys have met with each other, and as soon as they meet, they refuse to talk to each other. Mai gong wa. You can use that. So we say to this character we printed, the last one is wa, and then other dialects have wei, gong wa, gong wei, that kind of thing. Okay, and yes, and you can also use it to mean already. Oh, so like se han. This is han se han. To jin gao qiao gua. Se han to jin gao qiao gua. Do you understand that? Se han to you can with your knowledge of Mandarin, sometimes it's even hard to decipher text in Hokkien because so he or she, so the I with no marking here. Seihan when young, for a young age, already is gao. Oh, I can't see. Yeah, to gao qiao gua. Gao. Yeah. To jin. Sorry, jin gao qiao gua. Jin we use it as in very. So it's jin but jin gao qiao gua. Okay. So I think that's about it. And then the last one is the word for fragrant, which we can pronounce in multiple ways. The word for when it smells nice, we say pang. But then when it's part of the word Hong Kong, hiang gang. And then when it's part of the name of pastry, hiao piang. So yes, good luck when you're trying to figure out. Yes. So it's because of this, there is no standard way to spell, phonetically spell a Hokkien. So we just use either, so this is another one that's very famous. University, you can say Tai Hak or Tua O, either or, and it just depends on the university. But Penang people, we say Tua O is more common. But a student is always a Hak Sing, not a O Sik Ok Sing, but it's a Hak Sing. So like, and then when you use it as a verb to study Chinese is O Tiong Bun. So it's Xue Zhong O Tiong Bun. So notice the O goes down because it's part of the phrase. And then I think that's about it. Oh yes, some words that you can use when you want to impress your boyfriend or girlfriend. So you can tell a girl, Lu Jin Sui. Want to say after me? Lu Jin Sui. You are beautiful or you are very beautiful. Yes. So the word Jin means very like really truthfully, but we use it in the or purely real. Yeah, we use it in the way like very. You are very like 你很 漂亮. I don't know where the word beautiful comes from, the sui, although it looks like the word beautiful in Thai. So I think it's probably some ancient Aboriginal word. And then if you're a man talking to your boyfriend or whoever, Lu Jin and Tao, you are very handsome or you're handsome. Lu Kiet Hun Boy, are you married yet? Or we can say, use the Malay, Lu Kawin Boy. Kan ada orang yang bisa bicara bahasa Indonesia? Ada. Anyway, so yeah, so kahwin, berkahwin itu to be married or to be in a relationship, well, to be married actually. We borrowed oops, sorry. What did I do? Okay. Anyway, I almost finished. So yeah, so kahwin boy. And then I have to go back to, how do I turn this back on? Sorry. Okay, sorry. Paise. Sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. Just the last 2 slides. So sorry. Okay. Yeah, and I think I'm almost done. Yeah. Okay, so very quickly. Oh, it's fine. It's all right. In that case, it's okay. I'll just wrap up. Yeah, I'll just wrap it up. It's almost done. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what it's okay. It's all right. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you so much. So then, yeah. So the other one is Lu is a Can you let me know your phone number? And then I think you better take a photo and this you can analyze this later on. So, okay, well, all right. Open the floor for questions. Turn the Slido, please. Thank you. Very quickly. So sorry. Oh goodness. Okay. All right. How much advantage does a Mandarin speaker have when learning Hokkien? Not much. Not much. Approach of it like a new language that uses Chinese characters. Doesn't really use Chinese characters. How mutually intelligible are Penang Hokkien and Taiwanese? I don't know. I just had a conversation with some Taiwanese people yesterday. I think it goes smoothly when we make sure we don't use too many Malay or English loanwords. Then it's fine because the grammar, everything is identical. It's just that we use a lot of loanwords. Can you recommend some study resources? Yes, I can, but I already flipped over the last slide. If you are interested, you can go to Timothy Tai's website. I don't know how to get it. I can write it down for you. So you can find a site that's by this guy named Timothy. I'm just gonna, sorry. 1 second. Nice, okay. So Timothy, you can look him up on Google. He's the only guy who invented an ad hoc sort of system to write Penang Hokkien. Timothy Tai, Tye. This is the same guy on Wikitongues. If you look Penang Hokkien or Wikitongues, his website has a lot of detailed information on learning Hokkien. But it's, yeah, Timothy Tai. And that's about it. Any other questions? Or okay, are you on Slido? Or can I just pass you the mic? Oh, no, yeah, because I think somebody just raised their hands. Okay. Can I pass? Can I use it? Okay, we'll do like 1 minute or so. Can I turn this on? Oh, it's more coming in. Okay. Oh, okay. We'll finish the Slido first. All right. In Cantonese, sometimes what is it? Oh, the check tones. Yeah. Say 7, 8, 9 are not different from 1, 3. Is that okay? So check tones in your dialect. 7, 8, 9 are different. Yeah, because in Hokkien there are only 2 check tones. They've all merged into either our number, this one, either 4 or 8. And for us, this is one tone and this is another tone. There may be other tones that have merged, but depends in MOE Xiamen dialect. When it's a PTK, the tones will behave slightly differently from when it's a glottal stop. But generally in Penang Hokkien, they have merged. They sound the same. But in Xiamen dialect, these behave slightly differently. The tone sound is slightly different. You can hear a slight difference. I don't know about Taiwanese, but you can hear a difference. Yeah, I think that's it.
Sorry, guys, we are out of time. So if you have any questions, just come downstairs and ask Brian. Thank you.